You're listening to School Counseling Simplified, a podcast with easy-to-implement strategies for busy school counselors. Here's your host, Rachel Davis from Bright Futures Counseling.
Hey listeners, let me let you in on a little secret. You don't have to stress about planning your class lessons, small groups, and individual sessions anymore. My school counseling membership program, Impact, is here to help. So, what do Impact members get? Monthly curriculum plans across all 3 tiers, SEL lessons, small groups, individual, and seasonal activities, step-by-step video implementation guides, bi-weekly Zoom coaching calls with me, and an exclusive Facebook group community. This membership is designed for school counselors who want to deliver the best possible content to their students, but who also want to just press the easy button. You'll get access to monthly curriculum plans, resources, support, and community so you can deliver quality, engaging, life-changing counseling lessons to your kiddos. So what do you think? Are you ready to make an impact? Join today at stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/impact. You're listening to another episode of School Counseling Simplified. Hey there, y'all. I hope you're having an awesome week off. This week's always a little weird. I always feel like I'm in limbo in between, Christmas and New Year's. No one's really working. Some people are working. It's kind of a weird time. It's like the holidays are over, but it still feels like the holidays. Anyways, I don't know if you feel that way as well. But I wanted to do an episode for you guys because I thought you might have some downtime. So listen to it when you get a chance, just to put in your brain, and then you can access it when you get back in school and back in the grind. You can, revisit it and think about how you can use what I'm going to share with you today. So, similar to last week I was sharing with you some mid-year data checkups that you can do to make your life a little easier. And this week, I want to talk to you about self-care. So, before you roll your eyes and you think about bubble baths and essential oils, which I do love those things, but that's not what this is about. I want to talk to you about unexpected self-care tips for the new year, specifically for school counselors. So the reason that these are considered self-care is because they make your counseling life a little bit easier, but they're unexpected because they're things you may not be thinking about or may not think will help you, but they will. Okay, suspense aside, let's dive in. First up, a time audit. So I encourage you to optimize your time. Your time is so precious and you probably feel stretched thin, so it must be spent wisely. You don't want to take your work back home, and if you want to make sure that the time you're spending in school is spent seeing and helping more students, you should do a time audit. So a time audit is where you, just for 1 week, write down at school how you're spending every single minute. Now, you may be thinking, well, this is counterproductive. If I'm tracking how I'm doing on my time, I'm wasting time. But I promise, the effort you put in to do your time audit will pay for itself tenfold. So what you're going to do is write down every task you do at school. So, from 8 o'clock to 8:30, answering emails, 8:30 to 9:30, staff meeting, 9:30 to 9:45, check-in, 9:45 to 10:15, duty, 10:15 to 10:45, small group, whatever. You're going to just write down everything that you do. Even if it's, going to the lounge for lunch or doing parent phone calls or anything, recess duty, anything you do, write it down. This will help you see what areas you're spending your most time in and where you can cut back. So this wake-up call will help you streamline your schedule. So then I encourage you to make like a Venn diagram of things you have to do and things you want to do, and then you can find that sweet spot in the middle. Then maybe you can eliminate some of those undesirable tasks, hand them off to someone else, eliminate them altogether, use technology to make them more efficient, anything like that. But before you know how to better use your time, do your time audit. Now, doing your time audit allows you to adjust your priorities. For example, I was driving myself crazy because I was scheduling things back to back to back, kind of like the example I just gave you, where like every minute is accounted for. And then if something unexpected came up, I would feel like, frazzled and unreliable because I would be late to something. Or if a kiddo stayed after because I needed to talk about something, I would feel like I was, missing out on the next thing that I was supposed to be doing. I didn't want to feel in that headspace. I wanted to feel like I had plenty of time to give to my students and to plan and prepare for my lessons. So what I did was I started scheduling in buffers. So sometimes you just need a breather in between, right? That's the self-care piece. Schedule in these buffers after you do your time audit and give yourself a little grace and give yourself a little margin so you can have time to spend with that student who needs, an extra few minutes. Or if that parent stops you at the car rider line, or if the teacher stops you in the hall, you can give them your attention without, rushing and worrying that you're missing something else. So schedule in those buffers. Now, the fear is that we schedule in buffers and then things don't come up and we're just like, well, what am I supposed to do? Believe me, I'm sure you have a to-do list a mile long, and then you can spend it during that buffer time, right? So try creating a buffer for at least 10 minutes between your sessions, just to make room for unforeseen circumstances. This will make you feel so much more relieved, prepared, and on top of it, which is self-care when it comes to the workplace. Okay, my second unexpected self-care tip for you is to outsource. So you may have not thought about this before, but use other people to take some of the task and burden off of you. So I'm sure you're feeling overwhelmed in some parts of your job, so that's where you can enable others to help you out. So who can you outsource? Well, first off my head is interns and student ambassadors. So you may have an intern, or maybe you're getting one this next semester. And I've had an intern before, and it was almost like, oh my gosh, I have all these extra tasks. I need to find things for my intern to do so they can feel like they're having a good experience, right? It seemed like another thing on the to-do list was to find things for them to do. But I want you to think about it this way. How can they help you? Because everything you're doing is going to be a great experience for them, right? They're trying to learn the ins and outs of the profession, the day-to-day, boots on the ground of what it looks like. So give them some things to do. Give them some ownership and say, look, I don't have time to do all this. I need your help. Would you be interested in doing this? Can you run a group? I've had interns run groups. I've had interns plan class lessons, teach class lessons, whatever, don't be afraid to ask them for help. I don't want you to think of interns as like an extra thing that you have to do. Think of it the other way around. Like they're taking things off your list, not adding things to your list. Similarly, I want you to think about student ambassadors that way. So if you have student ambassadors, which I think it's a great program, if you don't have them, start it up. It's simple and really fun. It gives them leadership skills, but then it also can relieve you of being super overwhelmed. So I had student ambassadors, 5th graders, and I was like, oh, I've got to find stuff for the ambassadors to do. But then I'm like, wait a minute, let's have them help me out and get leadership skills and community service skills and everything. So what they did was they helped teach class lessons, really. We would, spend time training them, and while we're training them, they're learning the content, they're learning the lesson, and then they in turn get to teach it to the other students. So that was a cool thing I did as well. So get creative. Think of how you can outsource some of your duties, some of your tasks to relieve you of a little pressure and a little stress. That's self-care number 2. All right, self-care tip number 3. It's kind of a shameless plug, but I think you should join Impact. Impact is my membership for school counselors, and it is the ultimate school counselor self-care. If you're feeling overwhelmed and you want support and you want resources, Impact's totally for you. So what it is each month you have a login. We have this fancy little website. You log in, you get resources for each tier. I give you the resources straight from my TPT store. You also get the implementation guide. So I do videos where I walk you through page by page and I explain to you this is how you can use it. This is how I like to use it. If you like the podcast and you like my style of explaining things and teaching things, it's just like that. I do those, and you get lesson plans. I tell you how to use it, who to use it with, when to use it. And then we also have a Facebook group where we connect. We do Zoom calls. We have live trainings each quarter. We just had one a few weeks ago at the end of November. It was totally awesome. So it's just a really fun place for school counselors. It's a membership experience that's really different than anything else I offer. So if you want more info, feel free to send me a DM, Bright Futures Counseling on Instagram, or you can just go to stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/impact. So those are my 3 unexpected self-care tips for the new year. I encourage you to utilize a time audit so you can optimize your time, schedule in those buffers, and to figure out how you can create a little more margin and a little less stress in your daily schedule. then I encourage you to outsource. So use your interns, use your student ambassadors, use your co-counselors, like get smart, work smarter, not harder. So outsource some things, and that way it's, two birds, one stone. And lastly, I encourage you to do the ultimate self-care and join Impact. It's such a treat each month to check your inbox and to see what fun resources you get. We do bonuses and challenges and sometimes like a book club, fun stuff over there. So if you're looking for something cool to try out for the new year, I totally encourage you to join us over in Impact as well. Okay, I hope you have an awesome, awesome new year. I hope it's great. I have good thoughts for 2022 because 22 is my favorite number, and I think it's just going to be an awesome year. I'm excited. I hope you are as well. Okay, guys, I'll talk to you next year.
Thanks for listening to School Counseling Simplified. You can find the links from today's episode in the show notes. If you'd like to connect with Rachel, she's on Instagram and Teachers Pay Teachers at Bright Futures Counseling. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any episodes of School Counseling Simplified. Talk to you next week.